Hey everybody, JokeFett here with another video. This time bringing you guys my thoughts, opinion, and review of Man of Steel. Definitely a movie that I've been highly looking forward to, especially after I was very disappointed by Iron Man 3, which if you want to know why, then you can go back and watch my videos on that. But I just really, wanted to have my faith renewed in the superhero movie genre in general. And Man of Steel, first off, the guys who put together the trailers for this movie, honestly, they should get an award because the trailers for this movie have been fantastic. And so I've been building up excitement, and I see it today, and I am really pleased with it. And that is how I'm going to describe it. It's not like something where I am just overjoyed, jumping up and down, going, "Oh my gosh, this was a fantastic movie." It was a great movie, really good. I wouldn't put it up there with like The Dark Knight per se, but I think that it was a very enjoyable experience in my opinion. So, what are the problems I had with this movie, and what are the good things I thought of the movie? The good things, I thought that finally we have another great Superman. In Superman Returns, I thought, I don't like that movie, to be honest. It's not something that I hate with a passion, but it's just something that I don't care to watch. And one of the reasons I don't feel that Superman really had a presence in the movie. Brandon Routh, I just didn't think that he really captured the feel of Superman. He was a great Clark Kent, I'll give him that, but he didn't feel like Superman. And I think Henry Cavill, or Cavill, I'm sorry, not sure how he pronounces it, but I thought he did a great job of just making Superman feel like a presence. Every time that Superman was on screen, I felt like he had a presence in the room. That all the attention was diverted towards him because he's a huge guy in the movie. He's physically, he's tall, he's ripped, and he has just his face. I think is something that's very chiseled jawline. He has all those features that you would think that Superman would have. So I think that from a physical standpoint, he very much captured what Superman should look like. In terms of his acting, I think that he acted Superman perfectly. Very strong yet compassionate, and I thought that was a great job. We'll have to see how his Clark Kent is, though, because really we didn't really get to see Clark Kent in this movie. We saw bits of his childhood, but in terms of Cavill acting Clark Kent, we'd not get to see him, hanging around the Daily Planet or out in the field with Lois Lane. We didn't get to see any of that, which this is a spoiler review anyway, so I'm going to talk about spoilers, but I'll have included a little warning about that in the beginning. So, he is a great Superman. We'll have to see how he does as Clark Kent, because honestly, we didn't get to see that. Again, at the end, we got a little bit, that was kind of like the final shot of the movie is, him with the glasses on, saying hey to Lois, even though they both know that he's Superman. So, he's a great Superman. And finally, we get to see Superman really just, go to town fighting somebody. We have not seen Superman actually fight a person one-on-one, not holding back, in film since Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Yeah, that's a long time ago, and that movie honestly stinks. So, finally we get to see this, just all-out action. It was fantastic, really. In Superman Returns, the big end fight was him against a continent, like he's lifting up an island or something. But this we actually get to see him fight General Zod. They absolutely destroy Metropolis. Man, it was brutal. I mean, I have to say that the action in this movie was awesome. Superman and Zod and the other fight, Superman versus Zod and the other Kryptonians was all those scenes were fantastic. I think they really amp up the destruction. I mean, in the final act of the movie, Smallville and Metropolis get, wow, they just really destroyed those cities, I must say. Metropolis ends up looking like it just went through a nuclear holocaust or something. All the buildings are in ruin and everything. So the action was quite awesome. Really, it makes the Battle of New York from the Avengers look like I walk in the park. I'll walk in the park after they just absolutely obliterate the city. So the action is finally, it's just fantastic. Superman and Zod, punching each other through multiple buildings. They even knock each other up into space, and Zod throws a satellite at Superman. So that was awesome. I really enjoyed the action. Finally, we get to see a comic accurate kind of Superman level action, something that previously we'd only seen this type of action in the animated movies or in the animated shows. So definitely very happy to finally see us get that kind of action that we've always been wanting from a Superman movie. Overall, I thought that the supporting cast did a good job as well. Amy Adams as Lois Lane, I thought was great. She's actually in this movie, Lois Lane does stuff. She's actually, being an investigative reporter like she's supposed to be. She's just not, just falling off buildings going, "Oh, Superman, save me," and that stuff. So we actually see Lois actually being the one who she tracks down Superman and finds out his secret identity just using her investigative reporting. So I thought that was awesome how she actually has a presence in this movie and actually is important to the plot and not just being a damsel in distress or something that Superman has to save at the end of the movie. So that was great. Michael Shannon as General Zod. To be honest, Michael Shannon, he's a great actor. But in this movie, I wasn't feeling him be super intimidating. He wasn't a super intimidating villain, in my opinion. But that might be due in part because Zod in this movie is also made out to be a relatable villain. His goal, honestly, is just to bring back Krypton, to start a new Krypton on Earth, and using what's called the Codex and a bunch of embryos in stasis on board the ship. It sounds really weird when you describe it, but basically using that to turn Earth into a new Krypton and to kind of restart Kryptonian society. So he has a very relatable goal. I mean, can you blame a man? I mean, his whole planet was destroyed, and he just wants to start the Kryptonian race again. But to do that, he wants to pretty much, kill every human on Earth and then transform its atmosphere into a Kryptonian atmosphere so they can actually breathe it. So his goal is relatable, his means not so much. And that kind of puts him in a weird spot where you feel for the guy, you want him to accomplish that goal through other means, but because of how he's going about it, you don't really want to see him accomplish that. So it puts him in a weird spot where you kind of I know he's not that bad, but again, he wants to kill every human being, so that makes him pretty bad. So in the end, that kind of makes him neutral. I didn't really feel like he was an intimidating presence in the movie. Whenever Zod was on screen, I wasn't "Oh, it's General Zod, or run for your lives," or everything. I actually felt that Faora was a more intimidating presence on the screen, and she's supposed to be an underling of Zod's. He did a good job acting it with what he was given, but I think that they should have probably written Zod as a more villainous character than he was. I just didn't really feel that he was an intimidating opponent, even though he had all the powers and strength of Superman. So physically, he should be very intimidating, but he just ended up not being quite so scary and imposing. Some other notable mentions as Russell Crowe as Jor-El and Kevin Costner as Pa Kent. I thought they both did a fantastic job. In the beginning, I I honestly, I was a little iffy on Crow's Jor-El, but I grew to like it more throughout the movie. Actually, I like him more after his death in the movie, and then he comes back as like a hologram or whatever. So I like him more then as a hologram than I did when he was supposed to be alive in the story. And Pa Kent, we get to see a good bit of him through flashbacks throughout the movie. And Kevin Costner did a great job as him. I think he delivered his lines really well. So I think they both did a great job. And some other another mention is that Lawrence Fishburne is actually in this movie. He's playing Perry White. So yeah, I actually didn't really know that until I was actually in the theater. So I was like, oh hey, that's Lawrence Fishburne up there. They did not use him at all in any of the trailers or promotional material, which you think I thought, Lawrence Fishburne might be a marketable actor, but apparently not. He's only playing Perry White, so it's understandable, but still, he's kind of a big actor. So, and he was good for the small amount of time that he was actually in the movie. So, yeah, the movie overall, what did I not like about it? Well, that's a little hard to put my finger on. I think that it could have used some brightening up in places. I'm not talking about the tone or anything, but I'm actually talking about the physical video itself. It seems like everything was toned down, kind of muted colors. When you think of Superman, you don't really think of muted colors. That might work for Batman, and indeed it did in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which, is a fantastic trilogy of movies, and that works for Batman. But that visual style, that, kind of bleakness and muted colors and kind of washed out, I don't know, it just didn't translate as well to Superman, I don't think. So that, I don't know, I was a bit iffy on a style. I wish it just got, a bit more bright, a bit more colorful. I never felt that it hit the kind of visual tones that it should have. What else? I don't know. It's just something. There's just there's like little nagging things that I guess take away from this movie for me. Also, why did they kill off Emil Hamilton? I mean, he wasn't a bad guy in the movie. They did not portray him villainously. He wasn't like he was an evil scientist. But yeah, he totally gets killed at the end of the movie. Like, and they don't really make a point of it. It's just like Superman doesn't save him, even though you'd think he would have had time to. So that's a bit weird. I know who's Superman going to go to for all of his science needs and all that stuff. So that was just like, that's just a little bit of fanboy in me kind of wondering about that. I don't know, honestly. I just felt like the story never got as, I don't know, as driven as it could have been, as epic as it could have been. Again, probably a good bit goes back to Michael Shannon's Zod. I never felt that he was a real big, intimidating presence in the movie. He just felt like he was there, but he wasn't like, scary, really, in my opinion. I didn't feel intimidated by him as a character, which I think that if you want to have a really great villain, then you need to have some kind of fear of the villain. So that might have been something to do with it. And again, the ad with the bleak style. So I don't know. It's a bit strange why it seems like there are all these factors that should have made this movie like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But it never really hit that high note for me. Again, I thought it was a great movie. I enjoyed watching it, and I'll watch it again, whenever it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. By the way, I did see it in 3D. The theaters near me now, since I've moved, had this thing called 3D XD. It's at the Cinemark or Century theaters, whatever you want to call them. So it was kind of like the deluxe experience. So that was nice. The screen is bigger on those. The picture's clearer. And the seats are nicer too. You're more comfortable while you're watching the movie. But would I recommend seeing it like that? Sure. Like I said, the action scenes are awesome. They're especially in the final act of the movie. The action gets really intense, like massive destruction and stuff like that. So I would recommend seeing it in that kind of deluxe experience if you want to, because I mean it's a Superman movie. You know, we haven't seen a Superman movie in 7 years now, so I think that you know, just being a Superman movie alone kind of merits it going for the deluxe experience. So in the end, I'm not sure why this movie just doesn't really hit it for me as much as, like, say, The Dark Knight does. When this movie, you know, has a bunch of great things going for it. Henry Cavill is does a fantastic job as Superman. It has a great cast as well. You know, Russell Crowe, Kevin Costner, Amy Adams, Lawrence Fishburne, Michael Shannon. So great cast. It's made by filmmakers Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan. So why isn't this movie just like above and beyond amazing? I'm not really sure. It's a bit hard to put into words, but I think that if you're a fan of Superman, you'll enjoy it. I'm a fan of Superman. I really enjoyed it, and I know other friends here on YouTube that are big fans of Superman that really liked it. So it's just, you know, it's a bit hard to put into words. Just some things just didn't click. The movie was a bit too bleak. It didn't have enough color in it. Michael Shannon's Zod wasn't like super intimidating. But I did like how they gave us teasers at two big corporations in the DC universe. First of is LexCorp. There's a LexCorp logo on this like gas tank that Zod throws at Superman, and also Wayne Industries or Wayne Enterprises is on their logo's on a satellite that Zod once again throws at Superman. Which it's actually a shame that this Wayne Industries is separate from the Dark Knight trilogy. They've confirmed that this does not exist in the same universe as Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight films, which makes sense because the Dark Knight films are super realism. You can't have Superman really in a super realistic sense. So, but that pretty much confirms that at some point down the line we will be getting a new incarnation of a Batman, and we'll also be getting Lex Luthor, hopefully, in maybe the next Man of Steel, or maybe as a closing villain to the trilogy. Well, I presume it'll be a trilogy, but you know, you never know. So it depends on how much money this movie makes. But the way it's looking now, it should be on the fast track to get a sequel, I imagine. So I have really high hopes for a sequel as well. This movie was impressive. You know, lots of action in it. It really captured the essence of Superman, I think. But some things just didn't click, and I think a lot of it has to do with the villain for me personally. I think that we need a really intimidating villain that we can really just love to hate. I think that's a very important thing for superhero movies is you need to have a great villain. A superhero movie is only as good as its villain, in my opinion. And I guess that's kind of like, that's again going back to Iron Man 3. I didn't like it because of the villain situation, which if you watch the movie, then you'll be familiar with that. But this movie actually did have a real villain, and I did like him, but I didn't love him. So I think that's what's keeping me from loving this movie. But Michael Shannon still did a great job as Zod. So don't let me convince you that he was like some terrible performance or anything like that. So please tell me what you guys think of the movie. Did you enjoy Man of Steel? Are you going to see it in theaters if you haven't already? Or are you just going to wait till video? Or do you not care at all about anything Superman? Thank you guys for watching as always. This is JokerFett signing out. Bye.